In today's video, we find out what happens when Boss Foundation meets the brand new Huntmaster Saber boss inside of Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 2. Now, as always, this is your #1 place for boss meets, and if you guys aren't already subscribed, roughly 98% of you guys watching this video aren't subscribed, so tap that subscribe button. It'd mean the absolute world to me, and let's jump into this to show you guys exactly how we are going to do this. So to complete this task, we simply had to take the Foundation all the way from the Sanctuary over to the location of Command Cavern. It may sound simple, but it really isn't. Moving from the Sanctuary over to Command Cavern took us over 9 hours to complete, which is just insane. So if you guys have been looking for a map to improve your skills inside of Fortnite and just have fun across the board, then this map is for you. We have every single item in the game, including new weapons when they get added in, and even all of the items ever inside of Fortnite Battle Royale, including consumables and all the vehicles as well inside of Box FFA. You can pop in here and have a ton of fun with your friends and improve your skill while creating bases, role playing, or doing whatever you want inside of Box FFA. It's simply up to you to create whatever you want inside of here. Take a screenshot of the code on screen right now and pop on in. So we jump on inside of the battle labs and we were set to go. The first thing we had to do was locate Foundation and make sure he was ready and set to get over to Huntmaster Saber. So Foundation spawned inside of his main sanctuary house, and we decided to knock down the entire house so we could get him out of here. He was quite difficult to get out manually just because of all the walls and stuff, so clearing the entire building would definitely speed up this process. So we spent a little bit of time clearing it, about 15 minutes, and after about 15 minutes the whole building was knocked down and we were set to go to move Foundation. So Foundation was now in position. We had him on top of the car and we started to take him over slowly towards the location of, I guess, as you like to call it, the Command Cavern, which is the current name of the location. So after a big long drive, Foundation eventually got pretty close, but we obviously had to refuel on the way. So stopping off at different fuel stations allowed us to refuel the car without Foundation falling off, and just making sure we had full fuel inside of our car. I think that was quite crucial to know as a community, that our car had full fuel and made sure it was working all the way. While this was taking place, it was really crucial to make sure there were no IO guards in the way, so I cleared all the IO guards with Super. We did a really good job of that. That was really easy. They did that in the background. Unfortunately, we don't have footage of that. We cleared most of the IO guards and tilted, basically. And once we arrived at the location, you can see there's a giant, big staircase going on. I constructed this staircase thinking that Foundation would go up nicely, but I had a really bad feeling. I'm only one shot at this, so I didn't want to drive Foundation up here, just in case he fell off when the car kind of like tilted backwards. We've tried this in the past, and NPCs usually fall off at like a strong angle. It's almost like a 45-degree angle going up, so it's quite a steep angle and it's just really not worth risking. So instead we decided to try and, like, I guess bait out the Saber, but he's just not being baited out. Huntmaster would not be baited like far enough to reach Foundation. So in this situation right now, we were really struggling on knowing what to do. How could we make Huntmaster Saber actually connect to the Foundation? Well, we had a few options. So the only choice really was to use shockwaves, and it sounds simple, but finding shockwaves was an absolute nightmare. Super searched about 5 or 6 different POIs and only found about 6 shockwaves altogether. But, you know, that's enough, and we can work with what we've got. So we had Huntmaster Saber on the bridge and we throw in a first shockwave. Unfortunately, it just didn't work at all, but luckily enough, our second shockwave managed to make him fly in, and eventually, as Huntmaster Saber came flying in through the trees, he actually lands on this crazy IO car, which is kind of a coincidence, but here he is, Huntmaster Saber meeting Foundation for the first ever time in Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 2. Foundation brings out his huge rock, throws it in, we drive the car a little bit to move Foundation into the action. He hits Huntmaster Saber with the rock, getting a decent amount of damage on him, but Huntmaster Saber is trying his best to hold his ground. The rock firing in, hitting him with a few little shots there, 25 damage onto Huntmaster Saber. Huntmaster Saber getting a nice little 31 on the rock there. Huntmaster Saber missing a few shots there. We're trying to clear the wall so they can shoot each other here. It looks like they've lost target on each other because of the stairs here from the ramp, but that's okay. We needed them to hold the ramp up, and now they're back in the action shooting at each other. Huntmaster Saber aiming for Foundation, missing a few shots there, still missing. Foundation trying to locate Huntmaster Saber, but he's actually continuing to rotate up the hill, and Foundation is trying to go back to his POI here. It looks like Huntmaster Saber is making a little run for it up the hill. Foundation trying his best to get the target on, but just not actually hitting the Huntmaster Saber. But after a little bit of time, we actually eventually got Huntmaster Saber back up to his POI and managed to contain Foundation, ready for them to meet again. So we contained Foundation in this little box over here. You can see we're just clearing it out, making sure we've got a nice little path for him to head back to Huntmaster Saber. And while that was going on, I went up to go and get Huntmaster Saber again. We still had a few shockwaves. Luckily enough, Super managed to find another 2 after 30 minutes of searching. Crazy like, but yes, we found shockwaves, and eventually we got some shockwaves and we had Huntmaster Saber ready to go. You see, we ended up going on that mountain, so I had to try and fishing rod him, but for some reason I didn't even need to fishing rod him. He just teleported straight to me and I edited him down just like that. Huntmaster Saber went for a Wolverine spin, but missed his Wolverine spin. and then obviously this gives me access for the shockwave, perfect shockwave, sending in Huntmaster Saber over there. Now this gives us access to Foundation because he's in this box over here, and now these two can meet. So I'm going to switch over to the replay in a different angle, and you can see Huntmaster Saber actually targets Foundation straight away, going in for a few shots. He's missing his shots. He hasn't got the best accuracy. I'd personally say he's probably weaker than Dr. Sloan. His accuracy, he doesn't know who to target or where to go, but Foundation starts the fight off straight by throwing in a rock, hits Huntmaster Saber for a nice 25 and 90, getting a bunch of damage on Huntmaster. Then he starts spraying in a Huntmaster Saber, getting a lovely triple 25 there. Huntmaster Saber trying to get a little shots off, but not even hitting one shot yet. Foundation goes for another rock, hits Huntmaster Saber again, dealing a ton of damage, and he bails. He decides to teleport out of here. You see Huntmaster here, we'll take a little replay of that. As Foundation does throw the rock in, for some reason, what happens? It causes Huntmaster to retreat, and he decides to teleport back up to the blimp. Now obviously we can't get Foundation up to the blimp, it's too difficult. So we had to get Huntmaster Saber down one final time for him to meet Foundation. I don't know why he keeps running away, it's just his mechanics. He's super hard to get out of the blimp, sadly. So unfortunately, this season, I don't think we'll ever be able to do all of the bosses meet, just because Huntmaster Saber is impossible to get outside of the blimp. You'd have to take all the bosses to the blimp, which is almost impossible to do as well. And I'll demonstrate that in a second as we get to that. But here it is, our final run at getting Huntmaster Saber to Foundation for the final time. Will Huntmaster Saber be eliminated by Foundation, or will he eliminate Foundation? So I went inside the blimp, got Huntmaster Saber to follow me, and you can see he's now following me across the bridge, and now all we've got to do is get a few shockwaves down on Huntmaster Saber and get him down to the Foundation, who's just down below us there to our right. This is the final location of Foundation before we run out of shockwaves. These are the last two shockwaves left in the map. You can see we only have half an hour left on the timer, and Huntmaster Saber is slowly following me to this direction. So we're baiting him over across this bridge nicely. He's coming pretty well. He's not being too slow. He's over there now. We've got him kind of baited on. I'm going to stay covered behind these until he comes a little bit closer to us. Let's hope that he walks towards us. Is he going to teleport to us? I'm just hoping that he does, and luckily enough he did. So that's perfect for me to shockwave. We're going to throw in the first shockwave nicely here. Is it going to work? First shockwave, there we go, and ooh, it just missed slightly. And then second shockwave, let's go. Boom, lovely shockwave, sending in Huntmaster Saber. Perfect for Foundation. Foundation's just down there to the right, and Huntmaster Saber's over there on the left on the hill. This is our last opportunity for these two to meet, so let's let Foundation out of his boxes. Hopefully he starts heading towards Huntmaster Saber. So this is it. Let's switch to the replay. So now that Huntmaster Saber was in his position, Foundation was also in his position for them to start beaming down on each other. Foundation over there in the distance, Huntmaster Saber targeting Foundation. He does target him. He starts shooting at him. Foundation's question mark is in play, but still not located the Huntmaster Saber. Huntmaster Saber does knock down a tree randomly, and Foundation is still having difficulty getting out of his box. You can see his question mark is alert. He is aware that he is taking fire, but not aware that it's coming from Huntmaster. And then suddenly he starts shooting at Huntmaster. Huntmaster takes cover in this bush as he begins to rotate back to his blimp. You can see Foundation trying his best to get some shots off on Huntmaster, but still not hitting any of the shots. Huntmaster trying his best as well. He hasn't got the best accuracy at all as he's moving though. You can see Foundation on this side over here, positioning himself nicely on the hill to take cover, but also moving over to the right to try and get a few shots off onto Huntmaster, but he's yet to hit him. You can see here, they've not even hit each other yet. This is crazy. So after a little bit of time, Huntmaster eventually teleported back to his base, so we spawned in a bunch of bot grenades to demonstrate what would happen in the conclusion. Now to conclude for today's video, we can see that Huntmaster Saber was definitely the weaker boss. He didn't hit Foundation at all. He also likes to run away from Foundation, so he's more of a coward. He definitely runs away from battles, but that's his strategy. He uses his blimp to advantage and then confuses players and NPCs. For example, in this video here, you can see he's confusing the bot grenades by teleporting around. In this situation, if this was against Foundation on the blimp, Foundation would simply run away because he wouldn't know where Huntmaster Saber is, so he wouldn't target him, and he'd go back to his POI. So in my opinion, I still believe Foundation is the stronger boss, but Huntmaster Saber has more clever tactics and is much more difficult to deal with as a person like myself creating these boss moves. If you guys enjoyed today's boss meet and want to try out my brand new Box FFA map, go and give it a go, guys. It means the absolute world to me if you guys could go and try it out. It's a brand new map which I've created for you guys, like I mentioned earlier in the video. You can try out every single weapon, item, consumable, and I think this is a great practice map. I use it. You may even find me in a few lobbies if you pop in. So hopefully I can see you guys inside a Box FFA. Take a screenshot of the code and pop it in next time you're in Fortnite.